The State of Origin Game 1 preview and predictions. Ladies and gentlemen, are you horny for rugby league or what? I know we love our clubs and some people say the grand final is the pinnacle, but from a pure entertainment standpoint, the fact that it's 17 of the best footballers on the planet, the fact that as rugby league fans we come together as one, as a state to go up against absolute filth, I don't think there's much more excitement than State of Origin Game 1. And with Game 1, it's like round one of the NRL. There's so much hope, there's so much optimism, and despite New South Wales having one of the worst camps in rugby league State of Origin history, that underdog tag for New South Wales has thrown this series upside down. So will Queensland be able to handle it? Will New South Wales be able to get the better of Queensland at home to the start of the Madge Maguire era? Well, we get to find out in about 48 hours time, but what's the point of just waiting? We may as well speculate and talk about what's going to happen, because you could say that that's the best part of this whole experience. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into a preview. Let's break this down, then let's predict, and let's see how State of Origin Game 1 actually unfolds. As always, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and of course, as a responsible adult, get that betting app open, because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. Now, as I alluded to earlier, this is one of the worst State of Origin camps from the outside looking in that New South Wales have arguably ever had. Things were already on slim pickings when we lost both Tommy Turbo and Nathan Cleary from the horror round of hamstring injuries. And then the third string halfback, Nicho Hynes, has been dealing with a calf injury for the better part of a month, and Liam Martin has been dealing a hamstring injury for almost a week now. But both seem to be lining up for Game 1 this weekend, seeming to have passed their fitness test, and then, oh wait, the first string fullback has gone down with a quad injury. So after they've spent the entire week at the Blue Mountains, they rush back down to Sydney, and the former fullback, the former captain, comes in to save the day. But despite all that, ladies and gentlemen, this is still easily the most excited New South Wales Blues have been, and the most optimistic they've been for a few years now. Obviously, a large part of that comes from the coach, and even despite the people who have large problems with that team, mainly the Sydney Roosters fans who are upset James Tedesco are dropped and now absolutely love the team now that he's back in, there is a clear game plan. There still is a clear game plan, and that is to kick the front door down and go straight through the middle. But as always, with any sort of rugby league game, how we break it down at every game at club level, and it's especially true at State of Origin, the spine is probably the most important matchup in this entire Origin series, and at least from an experience standpoint, James Tedesco absolutely saves this New South Wales spine. It's unfortunate there is no Cleary and there is no Munster, but there's still plenty of firepower. I mean, look at the matchups. We got Teddy v Walsh, we got Luai v Dearden, Hynes versus DCE, Robson v Hunt, and if you want to chuck in the locks too, we've got Toothless McInnes going up against one of the hottest blokes in rugby league, Paddy Carrigan. Even on the bench, you've got guys like Isaiah Yeo and Harry Grant. So this is going to be some sort of matchup when it comes to the key players from both teams. Obviously, you've got to give the edge to Queensland. I mean, DCE himself has played more Origins if you take out Tedesco and put Edwards back in than that entire New South Wales Blues spine put together. And shout out to DCE, because while I'm going to be hating his guts for the next 6 weeks, the way this man has managed the post Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater era, after it looked like New South Wales were going to dominate after both 2018 and 2019, he has somehow won more series as Queensland captain than he's lost, despite in every single series them going in as the underdog. And I know he was able to do it in a one-off game without Cameron Munster in 2022 Game 3 in one of the great deciders of all time, but in what could potentially be his final ever Origin series, he could stand up and be the man to deliver for Queensland. However, I don't think he's probably Queensland's most important player. I think that easily comes down to Reece Walsh. With no Cameron Munster, I think that Reece Walsh becomes the most important player for Queensland, and probably the most important player on both State of Origin teams. It's no secret where Michael Maguire thinks he's going, especially with no Tino and Tommy Flegler for at least Game 1. New South Wales are looking to kick the front door down, and it doesn't matter how much they dominate this forward pack, Queensland just need one quick play the ball, and they need to give the ball to Reece Walsh, probably the most impossible player to defend in the entire competition. So the edge defense, when you've got guys like Brian To'o, Stephen Crichton, Suaalii, Lomax, Luai, and Hines, especially Hines, who is dealing with a calf injury, it doesn't matter how much New South Wales can be perfect through the middle with their kicking game. If Reece Walsh can annihilate one of New South Wales' edges, then the inbreds will be lifting another State of Origin shield. So it is a huge series for Walsh, and I think Tommy Dearden's game plan will be simple. And I think DCE will also, once again, have a pretty simplified Origin game plan. He's got so many guns around him, so he won't have to do the crazy stuff he does when he goes one-man hero at Manly. Billy Slater's message will be simple. Keep the forwards to at least be level with New South Wales, match them, and when they can get the momentum, give the ball to Reece Walsh in space and let him dance. Because like I said, his speed, his acceleration is almost impossible to defend. We've seen him at club level. So Suaalii and Stephen Crichton especially, they're going to have to be almost perfect. Whether they try to jam in and take his head off, or the halves sit back to try and give him more cover on Reece Walsh and allow the middles to do some extra work. I don't know what you do to defend Reece Walsh. I really don't. But I think that could be the key factor for Queensland in trying to win this game. I think it's a common case of the Queensland backs. I think out of the 5-on-5, they've definitely got the advantage. I think in the forward pack, while it is a bit closer than I'd say the outside backs are, I'd give the advantage to New South Wales, especially when it comes to the bench. Cotter, Carrigan, and Collins, they're going to have to play big minutes. I can't see Moe Fotuaika playing any more than 40. Obviously, Hopgood can go for big minutes as well, but you've got these absolute freaks that are coming off the bench. Ola Kawatu, Spencer Leniu, and Hudson Young. You partner them with Isaiah Yeo and Jakey Trbojevic, and even Karen McInnes, who can tackle all day. I think while we'll obviously see periods, as we do in every Origin, because momentum is going to swing both ways, it's hard to see a forward pack getting the ascendancy out of those two packs I've just mentioned, outside of one bloke. And that is obviously Payne Haas. Payne Haas, I think, can be the difference in this State of Origin series. He's the one X factor. He's the one out-and-out front rower. I know Lindsay Collins is as well, but he's not the genetic freak that Payne Haas is. Haas has obviously played very well in Origin before, but he's never had a series. Similar to the knock on Nathan Cleary. Now, I know it's obviously harder for a front rower to do that, but we saw Payne Haas on the field in the grand final struggle a little bit. But now on the biggest stage, against some players he's very familiar with, I think he has a chance to really cement himself. And if you're looking at a Wally Lewis medalist, if New South Wales are to win, it's going to come down to that bloke. Payne Haas could very well be the most important player in this entire State of Origin series, because if New South Wales are going to try and kick the front door down, then there's no one who's more than likely going to break it than Payne Haas. I know he's not the strongest defender, but he's got Jakey Trbojevic to snap a rib. He's got Isaiah Yeo, he's got Boots McInnes, he's got Ola Kawatu, he's got Leniu, he's got Young. They can all do damage, especially in defense. Payne Haas, just do what you do, baby, and run over the top of a Queenslander. So I think the forward pack, the big X factor in that battle is obviously Payne Haas. I think in the backs, they're probably advantage Queensland, but you give the keys to Reece Walsh. The spine is probably very, very one-sided to Queensland, if we're being very honest. Luai and Hines both have a huge opportunity, while I think Cleary is obviously the 7 going forward, although looking at him at the moment, he may become one of the Tommy Turbo hamstring injury guys. This is a huge series for Nicho Hynes. Obviously, he was dudded in game 1 last year, and he's unfairly criticised. But this game, there are no excuses. He's coming off a calf. I don't care. If you're good enough to play, you're good enough to play. So all the pressure is going to be on him, and I think Jarome Luai is a perfect 6 for him. Madge Maguire will be looking to play the long game. He'll be looking to play the kicking game, and I think Nicho Hynes and Jarome Luai will have to play out of their skin in that regard. DCE has kicked Nathan Cleary off the park in the last few Origin series, so it's going to be a big ask for Luai and Hynes to be able to replicate that. I know it's been the opposite for the past few years, but I genuinely think that New South Wales, if they are to win, it's going to be an absolute dogfight, and if Queensland are going to win, it's going to almost become a bit of a shootout with guys like Reece Walsh, Xavier Coates, and the Hammer. You got DCE and Dearden. If Queensland score over 20 points, it's going to be hard for me to see New South Wales getting the better of them, but if it becomes a dogfight, if it becomes Michael Maguire South Sydney style footy, the nonsense that'll be an absolute dream to guys like Jakey Trbojevic and Cameron McInnes, then I see New South Wales getting the job done. Obviously, Hines and Luai will both have to have great games. It's a huge opportunity for James Tedesco because with the injury to Edwards, it allows him to decide whether his Origin career is finished or not. Obviously, Edwards could have come out, had a Barry Crocker, and Tedesco would have been called back in for games 2 and 3, but now he gets the keys. He can decide if this is his last Origin game or not, and a guy like Tedesco could very well be the difference in this Origin game. Like I said, Queensland, they'll be just looking to match New South Wales' firepower in the middle, back DC's long kicking game, and if they can find space for Reece Walsh through those edges and find when New South Wales are vulnerable, then it could be night for the Blues. But if it becomes a dogfight and you're trying to run through a brick wall that includes Jakey Trbojevic and Cameron McInnes with Payne Haas running over the top of you, then Queensland may as well just get bashed on the field at Accor Stadium. And you know what? That's exactly what's going to happen. It's at Accor. It's going to be a wet track that absolutely suits the game plan Michael Maguire is bringing. Lindsay Collins, Ruben Cotter, Paddy Carrigan, they're going to have a huge job trying to contain this New South Wales forward pack. And I think as long as Hines and Luai can do their job, as long as the edges can contain Reece Walsh when he finally has those moments of good ball, then I think New South Wales can get the chockies. I'm tipping the Blues to win game 1. I think they're going to be fired up. If they can blitz them off the field in the first half, then I can't see Queensland getting the momentum to come back in the second half. They've got arguably the greatest defender in rugby league as their captain, so it makes sense why Michael Maguire is trying to kick the bloody door down. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit biased, but Queensland just can't handle being favourites. It is at Sydney Olympic Park, the home of rugby league, some would say. So I'm going to back New South Wales to get the job done. Am I confident? Not really, but you know what? Who is ever confident in State of Origin? This game could easily go either way. That's why it's such a spectacle, and that's why it's the biggest rivalry, the biggest event in Australian sport every single bloody year. But I'm tipping the Blues. I don't see either team scoring more than 20 points if New South Wales are to get the win. My official scoreline tip is going to be 16-12 to New South Wales. My man of the match is going to be Payne Haas. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in that comment section down below. Who do you think wins? What's your scoreline? Who's your man of the match? Am I a genius or am I just a baby blue who is very, very biased? Who cares? It's State of Origin football. Support the state. Get behind it. Screw you inbreds. Go the Blues. And I'll see you in the next one.